knowns. There are things we know we know. We also know there are known unknowns, but there are also unknown unknowns. The ones we don't know, we don't know.
Finally, the decks were cleared for a real military response, not some piece of garbage.
And what is Aleppo?
Excuse me, but is this an unknown unknown?
I'm not going to say which it is.
Please clap.
We don't have a major enemy. I know it hurts your feelings. I know you're upset about it. Who are you worried about? Iraq?
We have finally gotten more police officers on the street.
Got to shape up.
Is it working?
A 2-year-old cult member was also shot and killed.
Corn Pop was a bad dude.
They are not just gangs of kids anymore. They are often the kinds of kids that are called super predators.
And he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Whatever the fuck you want.
Who are you worried about? Ronald Reagan.
George H.W. Bush.
William Jefferson Clinton.
George W. Bush. Barack Obama.
Jeb Bush.
Newt Gingrich.
Please clap.
Hello and welcome back to Please Clap, a show about the world and how we got here. With me, as always, is my sweet wife, Nico.
Hey. It's Nico.
It's Nico.
I'm changing it up every week. I'm trying.
Okay. And also my brilliant, hydrated, beautiful friend, Rob.
Your damn friend, Rob. Thank you for having me.
So,
good to see you, Nicole.
Good to see you, Rob.
This actually today, as we're recording this, is my great-grandmother's 100th birthday.
The big 100.
Yeah, and over the weekend she had a party. I was working on a gift for her, so there's a bit of a lost episode that we'll have to put on our Patreon once we hit $10,000 a month. In the future, a little bonus episode. But in that episode, you actually missed out on some canon of the Please Clap plot.
Some deep lore.
The lore of Please Clap concerning the Boy Next Door segment, in which Rob was attempting to infiltrate a what was the group called again?
The group was paying attention to your constitutional rights within your county and your state.
That's right.
I made it in. I wormed my little weaselly way in there. I was building a rapport with the good people of the group, and then I go one fateful evening. Had about 7.5 IPAs. I'm going in to do some posting, and can't find the posts. I don't know where the posts are, and so I message AJ, friend of the show, AJ, the leader of the group.
The ringleader.
I ask him. I send him a message. Deleted post. I said, "Why was post about free speech deleted? Was up yesterday, but don't see it anymore now." And then AJ, to my shock, my horror, my devastation, replied, "They took the whole group down. 275 member year-half work taken down by communist." Shock. Wow. My stomach falls out of my heart falls out of my stomach. My stomach falls out of my ass. It's all falling apart.
I was like,
it's everywhere.
Right?
It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And so I ask him, are you going to start a new group? He says, "I may, but I urge you also to start another group, and I've asked others to do the same. So if they choose to delete all of our speech, well, I guess we'll call to governor and we'll go ahead, space, capital S, sue the hell out of them, period." So
I love when they're like, "I'm going to call the governor."
We're going to call the governor. Yep. We're going to call Mr. DeSantis, and he's going to sue the website next door for us. So that is your assignment, dear listener, is to go start paying attention even harder to your constitutional rights within your county and state, and help out AJ and the rest of the
Patriots
fascists on that forum. And I also have so that's the main group, and I'm really sad because I was finding a bunch of stuff on my computer. I was like, I don't want to press Windows key, Shift S, and screenshot these. I'm sure they'll be up tomorrow, but there is some choice stuff. Lots of name calling in the final hours of paying attention to your constitutional rights, and it's a fucking shame that that's gone. But to lighten the mood, I do have one quick non-constitution related post. If I can navigate this horribly designed piece of shit website and find where I saved it.
Well, it's because it's an app, Rob. You got to get on the app.
Gotta get the app. Also sucks. The app, it's a very poorly made. The whole thing just fucking sucks ass. What's the boy next door? Come in. Okay, well, here's one that's not as funny. It's more infuriating, but I'll read it. This is from Richard. The post is titled Panhandlers. And so you know it's going to be good. You know it's going to be very compassionate. So it's a post about panhandling on Nextdoor. Richard says, well, first there's an update. Have closed the discussion for now. It turned out to be useful for folks to become more aware of homelessness and how to safely, in quotes, help the homeless. And how to, quote, keep oneself safe when approached by aggressive panhandlers. If you all want to continue discussion, have at it. Thanks, everyone, for participating. So the original post here, and think about the way this is written and the tone with which this is written, and then what he's actually describing in this post.
Okay.
Is it cat?
Okay, I'm gonna put my imagination cap on right now.
Yeah, put your imagination cap on. I've got the cat out of here. He hates fucking hearing about Nextdoor, and who can blame him?
He's like, get out of here.
He's a communist.
Once more, I was approached by an aggressive panhandler by Panera this afternoon. The conversation, from a distance, was about needing information about the YMCA. Besides the standard, I need money for a battery refrain, the other pitch is, quote, needing to know about the YMCA. I ignored the fellow, who essentially tried to cut my path off to my truck. But that was just a ploy to get me to interact with him. How did I handle it? 1. I stopped to avoid getting anywhere close to the panhandler. He then said excuse me and went another direction. 2. I then proceeded to my truck, maintaining wide berth from the fellow. 3. He then called out his question about the YMCA. I didn't respond, ignored him, and only said, have a nice day. 4. He said, what was that? In a somewhat hostile tone. 5. I then expeditiously got into my truck and locked the doors. 6. The guy then continued to hang out in the nearby trees, I assume waiting for his next customer. Lessons learned. Again, never let a stranger walk up to you from across a parking lot. That is a bad sign, especially for women, but also for the guys. Ignore and get away. You are not obligated to interact with some yahoo yelling to you from across the parking lot. The panhandling is getting so bad around town. I am to the point of just hanging around the house. This is a terrified man. He should stay home.
He really
should just stay home if this is the reaction.
Shelter in place from the panhandlers.
To just a guy saying like, hey, do you have any information about the... Oh, fuck. Oh, God. Fuck. Like,
get me out of here.
Hand goes to his belt where normally his gun would be, only to realize that in his haste to get to Panera, he has left it at home.
Oh, no.
A fucking terrifying situation for this pathetic little man.
I understand for sure, like, if someone approached me in a parking lot, I would probably do the same. I wouldn't just like completely ignore them. Like if they asked, like genuinely, if they seemed like, you know, they were asking for directions or something. Yeah, sure. I wouldn't just be like scrambling for my keys, like dropping them on the ground, scratching my car.
He goes to pick your keys up for you and hand them. You're like, oh, shit, fine, and just like sock him in the face.
Yeah. So yes, I'm probably the same way. Especially, you know, someone who might like approach without a mask on or something like that, and they're like, "Hey," and you're like, okay, I'm gonna keep." But it's funny how it's not funny, but it's interesting how he always refers to this guy as the fellow or the panhandler
or the
Yahoo.
The Yahoo.
The Yahoo. Why
did he spell it wrong?
I don't know. I don't know if this is just something I'm unaware of. YEYWHO.
I've never heard that.
Never heard that.
It's YAHOO.
Yeah.
I believe is the.
Yeah, I was like, is Rob saying this wrong on purpose?
Is he
No,
trying to be funny?
never.
Yeah.
No,
That's why I was like.
So what are the
wanted
comments
to ask
like?
that.
Do people roast him or?
Oh, Chan, it's next door. It's next door. They're not roasting this fucking freak.
They probably have their own stories.
Yeah, they're gonna be like, oh my god, yeah.
I mean,
all
like,
these
this is why
homeless.
we need the Constitution to have our gun.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Okay, so 44 comments.
Only 44?
Well, he closed the discussion.
Oh.
Even though
He
he
closed the
didn't actually.
discussion. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
He said he
163
closed.
comments. It was just
Oh,
next
shit.
door's
Okay, there you
interface
go.
is dog shit. So, Katie says, I have heard when people get out of prison, they are offered a one-way ticket to Tallahassee. As long as the Kearney Center, which is a local homeless shelter here, takes them in and houses them, they will continue to come here. They are also a cause for increased gang activity. That
gosh.
is. I was recently up north, and there are signs in some town forbidding people to give to panhandlers. If people would stop giving to them, maybe they would stop and try to get one of the thousands of jobs that are available right now. So they're getting bussed in from out of town to do gang stuff because, those are the same. There's constantly escape from New York style gangs of homeless people hanging out around the very busy Panera, just like waiting to stab you in the fucking stomach in broad ass daylight. You're walking home with your spinach panini. Jesus fucking Christ.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I used to hear that a lot about Kissimmee. Whenever they would always be like, they brought all these people here and they
did not.
Single time. Yeah, it's like, no. You're just seeing a whole bunch of Hispanic people and now you're incorrectly assuming that we all got out of jail or something. Like,
Yeah.
hello.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's Do we have any other dissenting opinions, or is it all just that?
There are a couple people that are like, hey, what the fuck? This is a very weird thing to talk about. Anne says simply, I was approached in Publix. Thank you, Anne.
Yeah,
there are not many dissenting opinions.
We actually did see that when we were in Publix. Probably one of the last times we were in Tallahassee, and there was a guy going around he was like hitting on women and then asking them to pay like for his. It was pretty creepy, and apparently he had been doing it for like a while. But it sucks because there's some people who really do need help, and there's some people who kind of mess it up for them. Like if you have a bad experience with a homeless person, or if you're like if you have a bad experience with a homeless person, remember that you have bad experiences with people, like non-homeless. Like there are shitty people and there are good people, it's unfortunate,
and everybody is either shitty or good too.
but like there it seems like these middle class white folks are just like, oh no, homeless people. But they don't look at the root cause of it, and they just think like they don't want to work.
That would be too painful for them. To actually think about what it means that like there are more people, like more desperate people panhandling around their city, that they can't think about why that is while they're still comfortable, because the implication is just like that you don't deserve what you have, which is true. So there are a couple dissenters here. One of them is Jim. He says, trying to imagine how you would get by when you're homeless. Good point, Jim. And someone replies to him and says, imagine if we got a homeless soul and let them scroll through this thread and read what we are saying about them. That's from Josh. Good point, Josh. Good fucking point. Oh, Richard has responded to this, though. And I'm going to go ahead and guess Richard's response, the op. Probably not as good. Good question. Frankly, the professionals wouldn't care. They are good at tugging your heartstrings. But there are those that are in genuine need, which I have been able to discern and help at my own risk. But you have to know what you are doing and able to size up a person. There are times the Lord tells me to talk to someone in need or holding a sign. I obey. However, after the recent Seattle event, no idea what that is.
Okay.
After the recent Seattle event, oh, go ahead. What do you know what that is?
No, I'm thinking it's like they're confusing it with like Portland or something. Like I've not heard anything in Seattle. Like the most thing I've heard from Oregon is that the protests that were going on, and then everyone assumed that they were like homeless people for a second, and that was really weird. When it was
they're Antifa.
Yeah.
I mean,
like,
Seattle does have a large homeless population because of many of the same factors. I am just concerned that this problem is growing rapidly, and well-intentioned people, good people wanting to help, may end up in over their heads. Our society and culture is changing, and folks that want to do this, which is a good, godly thing to do, also need to be street smart and able to assess what is safe and not safe. That is the point of my original post.
It's like,
if you're just treating this like you are going into a fucking war zone to give a guy $1.50, you are not a good person. I'm sorry.
Thank you. Exactly.
You either don't actually believe in God or you're just a bad person.
Yes. Absolutely.
Also, he didn't even he just immediately went to I have to get out of here. And then ignored the guy.
Well, because the Lord, the Lord did not tell him to talk to this guy, presumably because he wasn't actually in need. Because this guy, as he says, he can discern between the actually needy and the professional panhandlers. Terrible. Just
cool.
If you see somebody who's desperate enough to be asking people who fucking hate them for help, like this guy clearly fucking hates everybody who has ever asked him for help, they probably need the help. Just give them something. God damn, they need it more than you.
People in houses talking shit about people who don't have houses. That's this thread.
That's
this whole fucking website.
I guess what really irks me is when they put religion into it, well, God would tell me, what?
And also this whole conservative right wing ideology about
that just makes them feel better,
not helping people, not having the government help people in need, and instead being charity will do all that work, but then also not being charitable at all.
Yes, exactly.
right.
Exactly.
They'll give 10% of their income to tithing. And then, now, to be fair, some churches, they have food closets and stuff like that, but they don't, that's not what they're doing it for. They're just doing it because, I guess the church tells them to. But they'll give 10% of their income to tithing, and they can't, they're like, oh God, helping people in need. No, that's not for me. I'm going to stay at home.
I simply, oh, go ahead, Nicole.
No, you go first.
It's I simply couldn't give this person the 3 $1 bills I have in my wallet and say, sorry, I don't have any more cash. And that would simply throw my budget so far out of whack. And probably if I gave them 3 $1 bills, they would assume I had more and stab me or shoot me with their expensive gun that they lied their way into getting with their panhandled money. Just asinine what these people
this
think
reminds
is
me
happening.
This reminds me of a really funny story. Nicole and I were in I want to say it was Boston.
No, it was Atlanta when that
happened. It was Atlanta. And we were looking around. Oh, here's a good panhandling tip. There's some people who can see if you're in a big city that you're lost, and they will offer you directions. If you take those directions, they will often, ask if you have anything for them. And we were more than happy to give this guy who gave us directions some money. Nicole, I believe, pulled out, what was it, a $50 bill?
No, it's a $20
Was it a $20 bill?
Jesus.
I don't remember. So she pulls out a $20 bill.
Who has $50 in their pocket? Like,
okay, whatever.
Cash. That's what I mean. Sorry.
I had a $100 bill in my pocket yesterday, so that's...
Yeah, but that was such an outlier.
La-ti-da.
But that was literally
is that
such
what you
a
got
oddity.
for your grandma's birthday present? Like $1 for every year. You just like went to the bank and got her a $100 bill.
Yeah, she gave everyone $100 bills.
Yeah, right.
No, but some people have $50 bills. Anyways, she pulled out a $20.
They're called people of means.
Jesus.
The higher. The upper echelon of society.
Yeah.
No, she pulled out a 20 and she like gave it to the guy, like kind of like on accident. Like she didn't really.
No, I did
she
not
wasn't
give it
trying to give him $20.
No, that's not true. I pulled out that. No, you're so mean. I literally pulled out that 20 and I didn't have anything else, so I said, "Okay, here you go." And Chandler was like, "You're very nice." And I said,
"Yeah,
hell yeah, I'm
this
nice."
guy was
he was helping us out.
What? Like it was like so. It was good. It was funny. I mean,
he was like very happy about it, and I didn't get any like, "Oh, look at me." It was just like that was all I had, and I was like, okay. I mean, he's gonna put it to. Here you go. Like this is.
Yeah. It was like
you're not
a funny moment.
Yeah, you're not gonna be like, "Oh, sorry, all I have is $20 and I don't want to give you that much." So
yeah, like seriously, like, you know, I was on vacation and like I was like, you know what, like,
yeah,
I'm gonna give back, like, you know,
and unfortunately
really,
you did go
nice.
bankrupt right after that. So
I went bankrupt.
we were on the streets next to him after that.
Yeah,
like you know what, that was our only $20 bill. No, and that you know, Benjamin that I had, like that's like I literally never have cash, and that is kind of unfortunate these days. Like no one really carries around cash anymore other than like boomers, or when I was a waiter I had a shit ton of cash. But yeah, so I mean usually when I'm approached in that situation, it's like I literally
just
don't have any cash.
Don't have like the physical monetary like stuff.
I'm sorry.
But typically I'll ask like, is there like, can I get you water? Can I get you something?
Yeah, if you're at fucking Panera, if you see a guy panhandling and you don't want to give it, just buy a fucking $2 bag of fucking potato chips instead of posting about this like close call on Nextdoor like it's a fucking creepypasta. Jesus.
And if they don't want that, then that's fine. You can be like, all right, so you know,
sorry, sir.
This is what here.
Yep.
You know, but you don't have to like vilify. You know.
Yeah, that's
what really bothers me. And like my dad was always the type of person that always had water bottles and was like, when he didn't have cash, he would be like, "Hey, can I get you something from McDonald's?" And he would drive back from McDonald's to get them something, or sometimes he would take them with him. But you know, I can't do that because I don't feel comfortable with that situation. But I don't know, like, I don't know what is so difficult of something as simple as like, hey, can I get you, like,
can I help
not everyone
you
is
in
like,
a very small way?
Yeah, like, why do you have to demonize someone for their situation? Like, that's not very Christianly, especially if you get that gut feeling, like,
right. I think it's just like you have it's a fucking defense mechanism. Like you have to,
right.
If you think, if you want to think that you are where you are because you are like unusually hardworking or like pious or something, then the people who are in a worse position have to be there because they fucked up, they're lazy, they're bad, they're evil.
I hate that
so they
much,
have to be, or otherwise your whole you realize you don't actually deserve what you have, and it's, you know, you're mostly there just due to dumb fucking luck.
Yeah,
exactly,
which is most people.
Yes. Yeah.
But that doesn't it's like when you say that, they're immediately like, "Oh, I worked hard for this and that," and it's like,
I went to the war. You know,
those aren't mutually exclusive though.
Yeah.
Right.
You can be fucking lucky as hell and also work hard.
Right.
But you have to recognize that luck part, or else.
Yeah, exactly. And like, what, like, how does it kill you to just be nice to someone, like, and not try to?
Well, they like kill you with their weapons that they're carrying on them.
Their switchblade and syringe that they're equipped with.
Yeah.
I just hate it so much. You know, I've heard plenty of people just be like, well, you know, they're in that position because they wanted to be in that position, and
they're drug addicts.
Yeah. Oh, and you know, don't go near them because they're part of the problem in society. And it's like, fuck you. You're a part of the problem in society. This is why we have this homelessness rate that we have, because like we don't want to invest in community programs. We don't want to fucking invest in anything that has to do with the community and growth within our own society and just being fucking nice to people. Like, what does it hurt? Like, how does it fucking hurt you to just be like, someone approaches you and you're like, you have two options. You can be an asshole, or you can just be like, okay, I'm gonna be an adult here. Like, I'm not gonna like, go crazy and just give. I don't, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
also,
it doesn't hurt to
just
be
like
nice.
even if you don't want to give them something, treat them like a goddamn human being.
Yeah.
Thank
and
you.
just say,
Exactly.
sorry, I don't have anything for you, instead of this like fucking craven like running away. Like, that is just a person, just a fucking person.
Yeah, exactly.
Just talk
Agreed.
to like, God, acknowledge their fucking existence. Jesus.
Yes.
Terrible. Well,
And also
sorry
just
I couldn't
realize
find
your
my
own.
funny boy next door post.
Oh, it's okay. This is
good.
a good
That's
conversation to have anyway.
Yeah. Serious chats with Please Clap. All right. Speaking of serious chats, we've got some articles. Classic reading articles on a podcast posting right here.
Okay.
TM.
Are y'all ready? All right. My first one. Fox News host confronts Mike Pompeo over his role in failed Afghanistan withdrawal.
Now, give us some background on Mike Pompeo.
Yeah, and what is Afghanistan?
Mike Pompeo.
There was a fight there one time in 2000.
We were involved in a 20-year war, if I'm not mistaken.
It's like Israel and 9/11. They were Hamas and
the brave Mujahideen.
Saddam was there. India,
Apartheid.
Right. Yeah. And when that was, we were trying to keep that. Yeah, we're trying to keep that after 9/11, so that Israel wasn't doing 9/11 any. I don't know. It's probably not important.
Yeah. So Mike Pompeo. I'm not an expert on these geopolitical things like you guys are. Who is that?
Mike Pompeo was the Secretary of State for Donald J or G, whatever, Trump.
Jonathan Trump.
I think he was a G.
Donald Gregory Trump.
Yeah.
And during his time as Secretary of State, he actually, if I'm not mistaken, Rob, didn't he invite the Taliban, or he met with the Taliban?
Yeah, they were prepping.
Shit, I met with the Taliban.
Oh my gosh, stop.
Just like most presidents, you know, Carter met with the Taliban, Reagan met with the Taliban. We loved to meet with the Taliban up until around 2001. I believe
what happened in 2001?
Saddam went to Afghanistan. They blew up the Burj Khalifa or something. I don't recall.
Saddam blew up a Kroger.
Look, I was 5. Okay,
we gave weapons to the Taliban. Let's be honest.
Ooh, I was 6, so I was a lot more lucid during 9/11 than you were. So fuck you.
Yeah, me too. I was 7.
I remember it.
Where were you on 9/11?
In
I
school.
was in school.
Well, but what?
Everyone.
Do you remember where you were when you heard out when you heard about the blow that had been dealt to the great Satan?
Yeah, I remember that, like yesterday. I was in a private school, and they let us out of school early, and I was excited for 2 seconds. And then I remember that they had us like in a bunker thing that they had, and each kid had to be signed out by their parents.
Jesus.
My dad, it was like, you know, one of those old, it looked like the Book Mine kind of thing.
Yeah. A nasty little hole. You mean?
Yeah, it was an old school. So anyway,
you mean that place that got burned down by the
well, beep that out, Shane. You got to beep that one out.
I won't. I refuse.
Beep it out. It'll be funny.
That's just Chan. Just Chan thinks that.
No. I am not. I don't actually think that was a joke.
Yep.
It was a joke.
I mean, that place,
but it did get burned down.
It sure did burn down. And you know, they sure
whether
did
it
have
was it burning itself down or someone else burning it down.
They sure did.
Anyways, this is
not go through great
deep
lengths
cut
to stop it from burning down.
Yeah,
True
no,
Tallahassee heads.
Yeah.
Parody. We love the fire department. Parody.
Yes.
Parody.
Our boys
not parody that we love the fire department.
Red?
That's unparody. Our big red boys, we love them to death.
Yeah. Thank you for your.
So Mike Pompeo was the Secretary of Defense for Donald Jonathan Trump.
Wasn't he the Secretary of State?
Whatever.
Whatever. Yep. And former CIA director as well. Again, I believe.
Former CIA director. Okay.
Oh,
so he's one of the good guys.
Okay. So he met with the Taliban and basically,
dapped him up. It's like, what's up, G?
Kind of solidified and like, not. I don't want to say enabled. That's not enabled. What's the word I'm looking for, guys?
Like negotiated.
Negotiated
some
negotiate.
terms
Okay,
there.
yeah.
Yeah.
What did the Fox News anchor grill him on? I mean, probably the most softball, that we...
Right, but he also, like, addressed them as the Islamic State. Am I not wrong? And then people were, like, pissed off about that because
those
they
are
were,
different.
Like, recognizing them. If I'm... Am I mistaken?
Well, if he's talking about, like, ISIS, the Taliban and ISIS are very different entities
Okay.
that I believe
Sorry,
have killed a lot of each other. Like, pretty sure the Taliban has been... actively at war with ISIS.
Didn't we give weapons to the Taliban to fight?
We gave weapons to everyone.
Yeah, so we gave weapons to the Mujahideen, which are kind of like a precursor to the Taliban, and that's a very reductive way of saying this, and I'm not an expert in this subject, but
yes.
Before the Soviets invaded Afghanistan in the 80s, we gave weapons to the Mujahideen. The Mujahideen eventually defeated the Soviets in that invasion. Years later, the Soviet Union collapses. The Mujahideen formed a government. That government then fell to infighting within the Mujahideen. And one of the group that eventually won that political struggle was the Taliban in 1992 or 3. So we did arm the Taliban. They weren't the Taliban at the time. Not saying that it was good that we armed them. Absolutely very bad that we armed them. Very, very bad. Very, very bad. But we gave arms to some of the people who would later call themselves the Taliban.
Thank you, Rob.
Yeah.
Pog.
And we still are getting, I believe we're still having like Blackhawks shot down by Stinger missiles and stuff that we gave them in the 80s. Very cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So whatever Rob said is correct. Thank you for that.
Yeah, everything Rob said is correct and doesn't.
And if
have
it's not,
any...
I apologize. Tweet at us at Please Clap Show.
Yeah, we love to learn.
Good plug.
So
Good plug.
let us know how we're doing. So Fox News anchor Chris Wallace confronted former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo with his own role in the withdrawal of the U.S. troops from Afghanistan as the former Trump administration official slammed President Joe Biden amid the Taliban takeover of the country. And it looks like the Republican Party has taken down from their website that exact same thing of the Taliban and Trump being, taken our troops out of Afghanistan, because now they're saying this is why we shouldn't have taken our troops out, but just a while back they were praising Trump for that. The Taliban has rapidly retaken control of Afghanistan as the U.S. and its allies have withdrawn their troops from the country. The February 2020 peace deal with the Taliban leading to the withdrawal was signed under former President Donald Trump and spearheaded by Pompeo, who suggested at the time that the Taliban would become partners with the U.S. to fight terrorism. During an interview with Fox News Sunday, Pompeo said it was pathetic blame shifting for Biden and the White House officials to point out that they had inherited the peace deal from the Trump administration. The former Trump administration official argued that Biden had utterly failed by withdrawing the U.S. troops.
Oh, no.
But Chris Wallace pushed back, pointing out that the prominent military officials and leading Republicans had been highly critical of the deal made under Trump and Pompeo's leadership. So he says, but I have to say, it isn't just President Biden who says this. When we announced that you were going to be a guest on this program, a former top military commander in Afghanistan and a current top Republican member of Congress both talked about the deal that the Trump administration and you negotiated back in 2020 with the Taliban to pull out of U.S. forces, Wallace told Pompeo. Then Fox News host played a clip, boom, of Trump defending the planned withdrawal of all U.S. troops from Afghanistan while he was still president.
I feel like
they had the receipts.
Well, that framing really misses the point to me of like just to like reduce this to a Trump versus Biden who would have done it better thing is just fucking asinine and just completely self-serving and completely misses the point that like never should have been there to begin with. It was a war held under false pretenses that we knew we couldn't win if we defined winning the way it was being sold to the American people. Also, we're just doing war crimes every fucking day over there, just absolutely ravaging that country, creating a bunch more hostilities in an already very divided place, and to say that like, oh well, Trump would have pulled out better, or well, Biden had to do Trump's. It's like, no, this has been brewing since the fucking 70s. Like, this is like 6 presidents old. This is not, and even before that, the British were in Afghanistan it's been hundreds of years of Western meddling in this fucking place, and it's not Biden or Trump. And the crime is that, I guess there are probably some genuine criticism of how the pullout was handled. Probably it could have been done a little bit better, but this is the bigger point of like, this was going to happen eventually, or we were going to stay there for fucking ever. And so to say like, oh, we let down the Afghan people. They didn't fucking want us there. Most people in this country didn't want to be there. The vast, vast majority of people in Afghanistan did not want us there either. And it's like only these fucking like media
Which
people.
is why the Taliban fucking took over in like a weekend.
Yeah, because it's great recruiting for them to have this fucking hostile, oppressive, like military occupation by a foreign power. They were like the only group, to my understanding, that was like posing a credible threat to that. Obviously, say what you will about their beliefs and their politics, not good. But like, if you are under the boot of a like horrible occupation, what do you expect from people if they have one avenue of like resisting that occupation? Like, they're going to take that avenue.
I think that's an important point that you put out there, because yes, we do not agree with the Taliban's politics and the way that they go about.
It needed to be said.
Yeah, we're not.
Tucker Carlson does, though.
Yeah.
I saw a tweet from someone who was like,
so does Mike Pompeo.
Oh, really? There was a tweet where someone was like, wait, they banned gay marriage and women or something, and they're like, I think we were fighting on the wrong side this whole time. And it's like,
yeah, so
womp, womp.
There's a clip of him saying that we were they don't want gender studies, and
my God,
they think that men should be women, and they don't believe in toxic masculinity. So of course they wouldn't. They would like reject, America, because the America they're being sold is like. He
it's
literally
part of this.
says that.
Didn't he say it's like the woke military or something? Like that's why
something like that.
That's why the Taliban took over, is because the people of Afghanistan didn't want wokeness. Like,
Yeah. It's amazing, and he's the most watched.
There is more water in his head than brains. He's just Jesus fucking Christ. I think the position, at least speaking for myself, and I assume you guys largely agree with this, is like, this is very sad what is happening in Afghanistan, but this was going to happen whether we pulled out yesterday, 10 years ago, 100 years from now.
Yes.
And all that we've done is made a bunch of fucking money for like Raytheon and Lockheed Martin.
Exactly.
And killed a bunch of civilians and immiserated a population and just delayed this. Yes. Killed a lot of people while delaying the retaking by the people who were already in charge. Did innumerable war crimes and ruined a countless number of people's lives, or outright stole them. And I think you have to be like, I hate to say this, I think you have to defend the Biden administration for fucking pulling out, assuming they actually keep troops out of there. Like this just had to happen eventually. And every day that it was delayed was a tragedy and a willful tragedy.
Yeah, and if you're not familiar with all of this, I would suggest checking out more in-depth videos and discussion about this, because it's a huge topic that we can't really, unless we dedicated a whole episode to it. Maybe we will
a whole
on the
20th
series. Anniversary of 9/11.
I mean, just like let alone just like talking about geography, we could be here for hours.
It's a lot.
Like there's so many layers to it that we wouldn't even do it justice. So please,
stop listening to us now.
Yeah, stop listening to us and
go somewhere else.
Yeah, read Prisoners of Geography. I don't know the author's name, but that's a pretty good book that sets you on an interesting course of seeing how places were carved out and the long-lasting effects of that. If anyone's interested in that, but also, do your research, because it is vital for you to understand what is currently going on. It's something that we're going to continue to hear about in the next coming years, and we're going to have to see how everything turns out. But it is a tragedy what is going on, because we played a critical role in allowing a lot of this to continue forth.
We were the critical role. We were the role.
And, you guys can tell me I'm wrong, but, we can have a discussion, and I'm more than happy to do that.
From one disaster to the next, what happened with Rand Paul's wife? Am I getting that right?
Senator Rand Paul revealed Wednesday that his wife bought stock in Gilead Sciences, which makes an antiviral drug used to treat COVID-19, on February 26th. 2020, before the threat from the coronavirus was fully understood, and before it was classified as a pandemic by the World Health Organization. And so this was 16 months ago, and he has just now disclosed this. So he's been profiting off this for a year and a half, just about. The purchase was of between $1,000 and $15,000 worth of stock in Gilead. How do you not have how do you know that but not just the number, which makes the antiviral drug known as remdesivir. The company's stock was worth $74 per share on the day of the purchase and rose above $80 in March. It has since fluctuated and was worth $69.84 on the day of Paul's disclosure more than a year later. So Good news. Seems like they probably ate
Didn't
shit
make
on
any
it.
money.
Well, unless they sold when it was at the high there. Hopefully they had diamond hands and hobbled onto that that they ate shit and lost money. So this is there was a similar story where a bunch of senators bought a bunch of stock in, I think it was like Pfizer and Moderna right at the start of the pandemic, right before the shutdowns were announced, and then made a fuckload of money off of those. And it was a huge scandal for about 10 minutes. And as far as I know, they have faced absolutely no consequences for doing this.
It's sort of come back around. I saw some tweets from like I don't know, Bernie and AOC and people like that were like, Congress people shouldn't be able to buy stocks or something like that.
Which is absolutely correct. That is insane. That is just like baked in insider trading. A senator can buy stock. But I don't think there's been any like formal punishment for those people. I think it was just sort of a no. They got yelled at by a bunch of people who will never be nearly as wealthy as them, and now they're I think one of them might have lost re-election, but they're all, other than that, just still hanging out in the Senate.
And they'll still be reelected.
Yeah, well, they probably weren't not reelected because of that scandal.
Right.
Yeah.
Here we go. Several senators sold large amounts of stocks in January or February of last year, prompting a handful of insider trading probes. Most of those investigations concluded in spring of 2020, according to notifications from the Justice Department. So, just kind of wrap those up. And that was Kelly Loeffler and James Inhofe. And our favorite senator, the most lucid senator we have, Dianne Feinstein.
Oh,
so, to be fair to her, she probably didn't realize she had bought or sold any stock. So,
that was her team.
Her team was like, this is a good idea. Right.
Yeah.
We're buying this for you.
Yeah. And Dianne Feinstein will certainly never face any sort of consequences.
No,
Loeffler and Inhofe
never.
will get yelled at by Democrats. Dianne Feinstein, you're sexist, I think, if you don't want Dianne Feinstein to do insider trading. I think that's like anti-woke
girl
or something.
Boss power move.
Right.
My goodness.
Yeah. She's just a very lucid girl boss who knows where she is and can draw a clock. And you hate her for that, Chan.
I do hate her specifically for that. Okay, I think it's time that we get some schooling. What do you think, Rob?
I sure do agree. Unfortunately, this Delta variant's so bad, we might have to do some homeschooling. Just like those good folks on AR15.com, this time on the homeschooling subforum of firearm enthusiast community, AR15.com. This is our famous segment, The Blast Zone.
Welcome to the Blast Zone, about to explode. Welcome to the Blast Zone, tell me what you know. I've seen aliens in my AR-15 and I'm feeling kinda mean.
Wow, what a great theme we all just heard. This is from user Gear Soup. Joined February 2021, 75 posts from Maine, and Gear Soup says, typing programs that are bias-free? I've heard some secondhand... It's exactly what you think.
Does he not like Mavis Beacon or something? Is that...
Let me read the post.
Oh, okay.
I've heard some secondhand
that's
reports.
The only one.
I've heard some secondhand reports that modern keyboard typing programs have a lot of agenda baked into them, such as leftist/socialist leaning practice sentences. Does anyone have experience with this and recommend an alternative? I've been using a very old Mavis Beacon, but all the house computers are too new to support installation. I'm not looking for a free software. I don't care what it costs, within reason. These Scotties, goddamn.
Give us a range. Give us a range here,
yeah.
because is $60 too much?
Aroki, an old head, joined in October of 2004 with 17,203 posts. Says, grab you a book and start typing word for word. I was self-taught and was up to 110 words a minute in one point in my career. I can no longer do that, though is spelled THO. My career I had for over 10 years, I had to type info fast. Not sure if that's the type of lesson you are looking for. Trying to get your words per minute up or basically learning of keyboard? Gear Soup says, structured program for children teaching proper hand and finger placement. No replies after that. So I hope he found his commie-free
man, these
typing
woke,
program.
Typing programs.
Too woke for me.
Yeah, Mavis Beacon is simply not based enough.
No, he said he was going to go with Mavis Beacon, but it was the program was too old.
Yeah, the new Mavis Beacons are cucked, dude.
Oh, the new.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Yeah,
because that's why he's using the old one.
Mavis is getting in there,
right?
Getting her word in there.
Yeah, she's been consumed by the wokerati. Let's see. So this is again from Homeschooling and Parenting. Simon Photo, whose profile picture is of a ANCAP flag with a snake on it clutching an AR-15, and it says Liberty in the bottom right-hand corner. Nice. It's a GIF actually. It's flipping between liberty, vigilance, and integrity. So, 17,002 posts. Joined 2005. It seems like the prevailing negative opinion of homeschoolers is that we're a bunch of fundamentalist Christians. In my experience, while that group certainly exists, it's nowhere near the majority of homeschoolers. In our case, our reasons are primarily political. My wife and I are anarchists. Think extreme libertarians, not useful idiots dressed in black, and pretty much see government schools as primarily intended to indoctrinate kids to believe in the religion of the state. What are you reasons? D.W. Koppel says, to raise kids that speak properly and don't say, what are you reasons? And then there's a black eye emoji. Awesome. They love the black eye emoji.
Fucking roasted.
Because I trust that the government will corrupt anything it touches. The government cannot get anything right, so I don't trust that the one thing they will get right is teaching my children. I refuse to willingly send my children to a place where they will not be protected. I believe as a parent, I am responsible for the raising of my children, not the government. My children are not a status symbol that I then send off for someone else to raise.
A status symbol that I send someone else to raise. Interesting they had to word it that way.
Who
because
thinks
that's not
that?
what that's the I got issues with this.
I see what they're saying. I don't agree with it, but also like school is like what maybe like a quarter of your day. When you're in like K through 12, maybe like a third of your day, and you can do plenty of fucking parenting outside of school. Like,
well, they think the one thing called the government, that one entity, is going to corrupt their children and turn them against them, like in the only book they've read, 1984. I assume.
Jesus.
or in hit 2004 film Equilibrium.
Oh my god.
Any more are reasons for you?
Our reasons, let's see. Some of them I will say some of them are people saying like, oh, my kid has autism and I didn't like trust my local school. I think it is possible.
We're not anti-homeschool.
I am anti 85 to 99% of the users on AR15.com homeschooling, though.
Yes. I agree with
the concept of homeschooling.
I'm confident in that yes of mine.
Yeah. But if you were homeschooled, you were a freak.
No.
Yeah. Well,
we're not a freak. Oh God.
No, I want to point out that one of my best friends in middle school was homeschooled until 6th grade, and then he was still half homeschooled. But I will say that I bet his dad is on this very forum, posting away right now. So
and maybe this is the post that his dad has made. In a word, and I'm gonna adjust my volume according to the boldness and font size. In a word,
thank you for that.
Freedom. Reason number 1, security. Can't provide an educational environment for children if the environment isn't safe. Reason number 2, realizing that the purpose of the progressive schooling system is not education, but behavioral training, with the end product being mindless consumers with no real skills at all, and that responsibility ultimately falls on us. Reason 3, having full influence on what our children are being taught. Reason 4, I'm editing a lot out here, by the way. Reason 4, our children can operate on their own biological rhythms. Reason 5, being able to manage our own yearly schedule as a family. 6, disease vector avoidance. I gotta say, presaged that one. This is from 2019. I gotta hand him that one.
Some of those are... The first one caught my attention because... Yes, there are a non-zero amount of school shootings, and I imagine there aren't as many school shootings at homeschool.
And this is again on ar15.com.
So yeah, that's not guaranteed. But yeah, that one and the disease one are interesting, and the biological rhythms one. I assume he means pissing and shitting.
Not waking up really early, which honestly, fair enough on that one. Fair enough on that one.
That is true.
Farting and sharting in your pants as a kid.
Right. You can piss and shit wherever you feel, as long as you're at home.
Yeah.
The final point, though, is home education is as American as the Revolution and apple pie.
What?
It's like, yep, we didn't have a public school system at the time of the Revolution, so that's true, I guess.
Yeah, and in a lot of other places in the world, I'm sure they homeschool people there. So I wouldn't call it necessarily American, but
yeah.
And I got one more here. Switching gears from the home and hearth to the wacky world of the stars. Still on AR15.com. This is called Who Has Had Close-Up UFO Encounters? Anyone else had a fairly close-up UFO encounter? Let's hear about it. I don't really much like talking about mine, though it was many years ago now. For several years, I never told anyone. It has stuck with me since the night it happened, and there has not been a day go by since that it doesn't pop up in my mind. I decided to go catfishing one night in our pond. The pond is only about a 10-minute walk from the house. I was walking across the dam and was about 3/4 of the way across. Ahead of me, around 30 yards away, there is a small tree line. As I'm walking and looking down at the ground in front of me, suddenly it was like someone turned on the sun. The field, pond were completely lit with a bluish-white light. I looked up, and there were several large lights. I just stood there trying to figure out what the hell was going on. I could see the outline of a very large, at least 100 feet, cigar-shaped object with these lights just sitting there barely above the trees. It was completely silent. I suddenly got the feeling of just pure dread. I've never felt that way before or since. I decided that was enough for me and tossed my fishing gear and turned to run for the house. The lights are still going, and I can remember seeing my shadow when I turned my back to it and started running. I made it almost across the dam to the field and felt like my legs had suddenly turned to lead. Felt like I was fighting just to make headway. It was a completely terrifying feeling. After what felt like forever, I had made it about halfway across the field. Suddenly, the lights disappeared like they were just shut off, and I instantly felt normal running again. Hauled ass to the house, got inside, grabbed a rifle, sat down, and noticed when I looked at the clock, over an hour had passed from when I left to go to the pond. No explanation why. Don't really like sharing the story, but thought some of you here would find it interesting. So,
damn.
To my mind,
that's pretty scary.
That's pretty scary. We're posting on the UFO forum. He has written a pretty vivid recounting of this thing that, you know, maybe he thinks this happened to him, maybe it did, I don't know.
Right.
How do you think the people of AR15.com have responded to this. Okay, would you say well or poorly?
I want to say poorly because, you know.
Of the way that you're saying it?
Yeah.
So here's Eroki again. Wow, he's all over the place. He's on the UFOs and
popular.
He's very popular. 16,000 posts since 2004, yes. Eroki
Jesus.
says, did your butt hurt when you got home? Awesome.
Oh my
Get
God.
it? Because they probed his asshole?
Yeah.
The
No,
aliens?
I got it. I'm just rolling my eyes.
Rigian says, I hit a bird in my car yesterday. Could not identify the bird. Probably closer than Ops encounter. These are the first two replies.
What?
The real...
It's a really supportive group of people.
They're so nice, all of these people. The real treat, though, is from Euler Ruler. That's EULERRULER. Are you an author fishing for ideas for a book? Just seems that what you are describing is written in such a way that doesn't seem like an actual recounting of a memory. I have seen something. So close I could have picked up and thrown a rock at it and had it go bang off the side of it. Most terrifying thing that has ever happened to me still to this day, and I have seen the end of a barrel more than once in my life. Those experiences don't stay with you as long because you can somewhat understand them. People crack jokes all they want until it happens to them. Then they have to suck it up and live life knowing what it's like. It's not something you wish would happen to you. You can't tell people about it. They think you're crazy. You'd be surprised to have seen things. You wouldn't guess that they have because it's something you wouldn't even tell your wife. The stereotype comes from the crazies that seek attention and those who want to write a book for money. My bet is that a lot of these books sell because there are many quite people that just seek answers. I spent 5 years trying to get answers, to come to terms with everything. I went in hoping I would find something that said none of this was true and was prepared to accept that I might be crazy. That would be easier. The facts are there, if you look. The saying is right, the truth is out there, and a lie is best told between two truths. When seeing something up close, you get first a sense of awe and wonder. You look at every detail, study every part, every texture, every color. Your mind races to process all of it, and you're kind of excited. You think no one has seen this up close before, and you have to remember everything because everyone all thinks it doesn't exist. That's when it hits you like a ton of bricks and the fear sets in. This isn't supposed to exist. You look up at it again, and look at the windows of it. You see the outline of figures against the light. One of them is moving. Yeah, that's when the terror begins. Never leaves you. This happened in September of 1999, 22 years ago. Found out 4 years later when I first started my research into what happened that 3 months after I saw it in January 2000, police officers from multiple departments chased and described exact same craft that I saw. This happened 900 west of where I was when I had seen it 3 months prior. 2005, after I worked Katrina as a federal contractor, decided to move out west and have some fun on the beaches of Cali. Planned my trip through St. Louis because I wanted to see where this all happened. Day after I arrived, a piston seizes the motor in my car and I never left. You can say I am where I am today because of a UFO.
Wow. Now that reads more like a book.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
That's a story right there.
That's a story.
Yeah.
You know?
The first one is pretty compelling, and it's a good, nice little UFO treat.
Right.
And it's pretty scary.
Yeah.
And I can I can see it happening. This guy's weaving a tale of intrigue,
and also doesn't talk yet. It's written like a dream. Like, you know, like he doesn't say what actually he saw or what happened. You know, it's just like it's kind of masterful in how it's all told through the implications. Pretty cool.
As
pretty
if
good writing.
They were trying to sell a book.
As if they were
or something.
trying to sell a fucking book. There's also a non-zero number of people who are just like telling this guy, the original poster, that he had definitely been abducted, and that's really cool to me, to just like say no, you don't understand. You were taken and experimented on. That's great. That's great for the old brain. That's great for the dome.
Yeah,
man.
because he did say that he was gone for like an hour, even though the pond was only like 10 minutes away.
Yep. So you have those stories, and then you have ones like this, where the whole post is just once, very freaky, saw it with 3 other people, made a believer out of all 4 of us. Just it's either like multiple paragraphs and like talking about the lead up in the years before and after and how it changed their life, or it's just like, yeah, it was fucking weird.
I saw one.
Just yes. All the time, and I swear I saw their faces, yo, but I'm typically relaxed and just like, whatever, think they want to fight.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's cool. I wouldn't describe myself as a believer, but there's something out there. I just don't think that they've been to bumfuck Kansas.
Yeah. I certainly believe in UFOs. Don't know what they are, but I think pretty clear.
They're unidentified.
Pretty clear there are unidentified flying objects.
Yeah.
Either that or
Keyword
the Air
is
Force is just lying about all of the,
Yeah.
I think there's still a possibility.
They're gassing us
totally
up.
Fake. Genuinely.
Now there is an opinion in the ufologist community that is an op, and that those documents and those videos are just like distracting from like the truth or something.
Which I'm sure this will not be the last time we talk about aliens and disclosure on this podcast, but it is astounding to me that astounding is too strong a word. It is very notable that the mainline conspiracy has gone from the government is covering up UFOs to the government is lying when they say the UFOs exist. That is super interesting.
Right.
Yeah. I can see both sides of this, because on the one hand, I think it's pretty clear, just mathematically, aliens, alien life somewhere in the universe, but also universe big.
Yeah.
And the government does stand to gain something. There's too much talk in those reports about it might be some technology from China or Russia that we don't understand. It's like, no, you're not getting me to support giving you more money for this shit.
Space Force.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
If these are if these are craft and not just some other weird thing,
entity.
Right.
Then we've lost. If they want to kill it, whether it's aliens or whether it's the fucking Russians, if they have these aircraft that could just ignore the laws of physics, that's it. Wrap it up, boys. You failed. You lost. Stop trying to milk this shit.
It's true. Well, that's about all the time we have for today's episode. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Chan and Rob.
Thank you, Rob.
You're welcome for
enlightening us all.
Mm-hmm. You having me, having each other.
Having you. Yeah.
Well,
follow us on Twitter at Please Clap.
Fuck. We're too polite.
You have anything to plug, Rob? Oh, you need Ableton Live.
Yes, please buy me Ableton Live Standard Edition if you like the music, the interstitial music that you hear before our great segments, or if you like the opening and closing music.
I like it.
Or if you hate it. Or if you hate it and you want it to be redone.
And cool it.
Right. If you want me to have more than the trial period to make these songs, then also buy it for me, and I'll spend more time on each song.
The trial period is 5 minutes.
The trial period is 80 days to be fair to Ableton, but I'm squeezing in dozens and dozens of songs, and that I can't be spending a week on a song. It's like a 2-hour thing in and out.
No.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Just buy it for me. Come on.
Yeah.
He's an aspiring artist.
Yeah.
Buy it for me.
He needs
I
more
want
time.
it. I really
wants
want
it.
You guys don't understand how much I want it. So just come on, man. Just get it. Please.
Share this podcast with your mom and your grandma and your uncle.
Your dad if you like him. Or your dad if you don't care for him.
And torture him with our podcast. And
give him a reason to homeschool you.
Yeah, that's right. We need to set this boy straight.
I assume all of our listeners are between the ages of 8 and 14. So.
Oh my gosh.
We can only hope. All right. We'll see you next week. Bye bye.
Weird thing to say. Bye bye. Hey, 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 bye